franchise. When I last left y'all, we were at the outset of spring training looking at the first run of predictions, which, as I understand them, kind of take your entire spring roster into effect. That's why there are discrepancies between that first run and then the run right after spring when you set your roster before the season starts. That's how I interpret it. Given that I work for the company, I could probably ask and get more clarification, but that's how I kind of delineate between the two. So in that first run, this is the spring one right here that I have on the screenshot, Boston was crowned the new Kings by one game, and it's one projection, so it's not, I shouldn't say they were crowned as if it's definitive, but it was kind of surprising to see them up there with Baltimore a win behind at 99 and then ourselves at 94. Cool. Then we get through spring training and we see this is what it looks like. Boston's still at the top with 95 wins. We keep our 94, and that puts us in second with Baltimore projected at 91. Again, as I said last episode, I will maintain this episode. We are chasing Baltimore. We will give Boston the credit and, respect that they deserve. And if they are at the top, of course, we will go for them too. But until I see otherwise, Baltimore is the Kings, are the Kings of this universe right now. And that's who we're chasing. I am surprised, though, that Boston comes out on top in both runs. Now, we have gone a bit. We are at May 1st. So if you don't want to get spoiled, don't be looking where you look for the record, because I'm going to go through a bunch of things. We ended up signing a good number of minor league free agents. I should have written those down, because now I have to kind of find them. Although they should all be here. Yeah, actually, no, kind of easy. They're all right here. So Jose Barrero, Ken Waldichuk, Brian Mata, Bo Brisky, Michael Soroka, Kevin Biggio, Willie Castro, and Pedro Avila. Decent group of players. I don't think we really need to break down all 8. They're guys that have a skill or two, maybe a good personality. They can fill some holes in the minors. And then if we needed them for occasional fill-ins, I felt like a couple of them could develop into some major league capability. Then we went through spring training. This was on March 6th, so spring training was like barely a week in. Then we finished up spring training, and we got a bit ravaged, y'all, injury-wise. Sonny Gray was out 3 weeks with a calf strain. He is now back. Yeah, he's already made 5 starts. So, that was most of spring. That's not the end of the world, especially for an older guy. Like, in real life, when that happens, I know, depending on what the injury is, I don't really freak out, and I always wonder, are they kind of overinflating the severity of it just so they don't have to go through spring training completely? Because a lot of guys are like, give me 2 weeks of spring and I'm fine, not the 4 to 5 that it often is. So he's back good and cooking, actually, and we'll get into more of that later. Then Jack Neely went out for 3 months with forearm inflammation, so that was a bit of a bigger loss there, especially with the Rule 5, what he was able to do for us last year coming out of New York. He was a big piece of our bullpen with an MLB high 73 games pitched, 102 innings of very good work. So we're without him for another couple of months here with the forearm inflammation, assuming he even comes back healthy and ready to go. Then Andrew Painter goes out 5 to 6 weeks with an elbow sprain. So, we got some pitching in the offseason to try to stock up. Good thing we did, because we lose 3 big guys in spring. Again, Gray is back, but at the time it's like, holy smokes, these all came in pretty close proximity, and I'm like, oh geez, this is bad. 3 weeks from now is when Painter will be back, so it's been about halfway through his injury, and we'll see how that goes. Interestingly enough, though, we get these injuries throughout spring, did not stop us on the field. And I know spring is spring, meaning it's not that big of a deal, but we did go 22-6-2. There are ties in spring for a 786 win percentage. That was tops in baseball by far. 679 for the Cubs was next. Again, it's spring. We're not getting a spring training title. That's not worth anything. But it was cool to see us dominate. I do like that, the resolve that we showed, even as injuries started to crop up. So then I have some notes in here that I don't quite understand, if I'm being honest. I should have been a little bit more detailed with them, especially when I use the name of somebody that we have 2 different players with that last name. I just put Tradarius ? I don't know if I was talking about Jaime or Gabriel. Probably Gabriel, just because of his lot in life right now, in that he is kind of extra. He's a bench player with a great glove. The bat, I've been in and out on, or not really that in. I've been trying to will into existence to be something. Talking about how he gets a little 5 here or there, he could maybe become something. He did in March when the current high and gap went up. It hasn't been enough to deliver, at least through 28 plate appearances, which is nothing. I know that. So I think it was him that I was considering maybe trading after spring training because of, where he fit. Ended up sending out some other guys to save him because he is out of options. And the trade offers just weren't that robust. And I like Gabriel Arias in real life, right? So sometimes my favoritism kind of helps a guy stay on the roster a little bit longer than maybe they should. Then we had Stowers and Antunes kind of with some redundancy. Like they were both lefty power bats. And I'm like, we can't really keep both. So I think that ended up costing Stowers. Stowers was the one. We chose the young guy. So look at the spring numbers here. If you are, again, second screening and you don't want to look and get spoiled as to like what our record is right now, you can look at the player stats. These are just the spring stats right now. And you can see we earned that record because everyone popped off. But Antunes was just so good. He hit 5 homers. He had a 212 WRC plus in spring. You guys know I like to do my storylines too, where it's like, hey, this guy won a job in spring. And so that's kind of what happened there. Stowers has done some good things for us, but he's not like some immovable stud, Did I move him, by the way? Where the hell is he? He might be hurt. I wonder if he's hurt now. Did he get hurt in the minors? Or did they both make the team and I'm an idiot? Yes, he's on the big league club. Sorry. Again, some of these notes are old, and so I should put more detail on them to make sure that I know what the hell I'm talking about. But yes, there's Stowers with first base primary position right now. They were a redundancy. I don't know what happened to... yes, I do know. I'll get to it in a second. Yep. I know exactly why Stowers is up. So anyway... we didn't have too many crazy options or too many crazy choices for setting our roster. Arias was the major one. And then, like I said, Stowers and Antunes. Stowers did lose out, I believe. Actually, I should check that. Stowers has 25 games. Oh, you know what? I think the issue that got both on the roster, I think it happened quickly. So neither of them really had to be in the minors. In fact, let me just jump to that real quick. It is Hayden Bloggs basically being out for the year. Torn labrum in his shoulder. That injury happened on 4/11, so just about a week into the season. Yeah, he played 6 games here, and then, Stowers came up, moved him over to first. Now Stowers and Antunes are both up. So this is a bummer, right? 34 years old, loses an entire season after the solid breakout campaign for us coming out of South Africa. That's a big bummer. And he had hit 3 homers. He was actually on fire, too, so that was really, really a huge bummer for us with Antunes. Our goal from the ownership was to reach the playoffs. Predictions said us over Baltimore, question mark, exclamation point here. Opening day, we lost 1-0 at Detroit, whatever. Oh, in April, we did take 2 out of 3 from Baltimore. I'm just going over some of the little notes that I had here. Again, I'm always keeping tabs on them. So we go into Baltimore the first weekend of the season and take 2 of 3. That's nice. It's not the end of the world, but it's nice. Ramirez hit his 300th homer. Hayden Bloggs out 7-8 months. We already covered that. Oh, this did... I knew things didn't seem right with what had developed when I looked at Painter. He suffered a setback. Because I was like, yeah, he still has 3 weeks left. How is that the case when he was out for 5 to 6? Yes, that's right. He had a 3 to 4 week setback. So now all of a sudden we've been looking at closer to a 2-month injury by the time he gets back. And that really stinks. But he is still just 24. So even if we go worst case and this year's kind of a washout, we're still talking about a 25-year-old intriguing arm. Now, there was one commenter who said that was a total heist, that we totally smoked them on that. I don't know about a total heist, but I do think we got the better of it. That's why I did the trade, right? And like Aldretti, it really kind of depends on what Aldretti does for Philly. That's really going to make or break the deal for them, obviously, because they didn't keep Freeman, and David Fry I'm sorry, he's not that special. So we bought what were kind of like distressed pitching assets here, but they shouldn't have been. Actually, no, I won't say that Painter was a distressed pitching asset, but it seems as though his ceiling had come down in the eyes of Philly because, they were using him in a swing role. He spent a decent portion in the minors last year, actually a lot of his season in the minors. I forgot about that weird high A stuff that he was doing. So, maybe we did hose him, but karma's getting us then because Painter's been hurt ever since. So that gets you current on the tidbits that I had. We are at May 1st, and with all of that, with all the injuries and whatnot, we are 18-8. One game over Baltimore, who just won 10 straight. They're in the midst of winning 10 straight. And where's Boston? 11-14. Now, that I don't bring that up to say, oh, the projections were so stupid, they were so wrong, ha ha ha. No, I'm just letting you know where the top dogs from the projections were. And Baltimore's doing great, we're doing great, and Boston's a little bit behind right now. It's a month in. We're not going to get too hung up on it one way or the other. I do love seeing a bunch of Lonnie White here in the leaders. That always makes me happy, as you know. Lonnie White Jr., we signed him to a big extension this offseason, and he's not resting on his laurels now that he's got a few bucks in the bank, or at least some guaranteed bucks coming. He still is only making $740,000 this year, and I say only relative to baseball, because I would, do anything to make $740,000 in a given year, and for it to be termed only $740,000. So yeah, so far, so very good right now. The offense is absolutely cooking. The pitching outside of the bullpen, which is a drastic problem, is also cooking. We are first in starters ERA, last in bullpen ERA in the league. So we're all good. I'm not too worried about it. You guys know I'm never going to freak out over bullpen issues. Let's see if there's anybody here on the waiver wire that we might be interested in. Maybe a little Bennett Sousa. 32-year-old lefty. This phenomenon happens a lot, and I know I talk a lot about relievers and how well we're able to cultivate them, and it probably gets a little redundant. I'm sorry. Part of that is I never know when someone's like kind of first in on something, as in terms of watching the series. So I do repeat some key tenets just in case somebody hasn't heard them before, or to just beat them into your head if you watch every episode. But no, usually what happens is a couple years into a sim, our bullpen is usually built up well enough that the waivers aren't delivering quite as much anymore. I don't know if we're quite there yet, because we're not all green. And as we've also said a million times, green does not automatically equal better than a 45. Green meaning that they're 50 or better doesn't mean that the 45s automatically suck. We have a pretty tight pen right now, though. It is tough to crack, and if I were looking at Bennett Sousa, I would probably compare him against Funderburk and Herron, our two lefties that are already in the bullpen, and comparing him against Funderburk, eyeballing it here, they're the exact same player. Let's actually look there. Yes. In fact, 5 extra stuff for Funderburk, but other than that, they are literally the same. Extreme ground ball for Funderburk as well. So I'll take the extra 5 stuff, and we'll just stick with him, with Funderburk over Sousa. Then we look at Herron v. Sousa. And we see virtually dead even again. 5 home run for Herron versus 5 extra BABIP for Sousa. And the trade-off there, I'd rather go with Herron. So after investigating it, I don't really think Sousa makes the grade to make our team. And so we stand pat with the 2 lefties that we have. Nobody else there in the waiver wire really jumped out. Schreiber nor Bukauskas were really jumping out to me. So we're good there. Now, as far as improving our bullpen, I am not going to be too concerned. The first thing I'm going to go to is the strikeout minus walk rates, y'all. Okay, here's what I need to know. How are we even 15th in bullpen ERA? Who is allowing this? Because I go here and I sort by ERA. It's okay. I just kind of gave Funderburk a reprieve and said, nah, he's doing too well, or he's just as good as Sousa. We're gonna stick with him. He's part of the big problem right now, though. It looks like. I still don't really understand this. We have a 5.19 bullpen ERA. And we only have 1 guy with over a 5.19 ERA in the bullpen, and 4 guys who are under 2. Huh? What the hell am I missing on this, y'all? Let me see something real quick. Okay, so Bradish had 12 relief appearances. Wait, no, he didn't. Wait, what am I looking at, y'all? Games start. He has 1 start, which means he has 12. Oh my God. Oh my God, I'm looking at the spring training numbers. I am the biggest moron ever. Kev, leave it in and make fun of me. All right. Now we can look at the actual numbers here. Let's rewind a little bit. Now we go to relievers. Now we sort by strikeout minus walk. We still see some pretty good news. A couple guys that are coming in a bit low, Smith and Funderburk. But then we go to the ERAs, and it makes a bit more sense. Cade Smith's ERA is through the roof. Raylo's is pretty bad. Cody Funderburk's is pretty bad. Clase's is mediocre. And then Enright, Alamon, and Heron are ranging from good to great. Okay, that checks out. Now we look at the FIPS, and we see, like, okay, who's pitching better than the results that they're getting? And it's really most of the guys. Now, in the case of Heron, he's kind of going the other way. He's got a 2.53 ERA, but his underlying skills say 4.53 FIP because the home run rate is through the roof, and the walk rate's pretty high. Funderburk and Smith, home runs are their real issue right now, too. It's 6 in the third innings for Cade Smith. We're not going to make a big deal out of it. All in all, I'm not too concerned here. I'm really not. Raylo is better than this. 362 BABIP is killing him right now. That should improve. You know, he's not a BABIP god with a 55 mark, but he's also not worthless. So, okay. Sorry for the goof on looking at the wrong stats originally, but we're not too concerned about this here, especially with the starter's ERA being literally first. Like, if the starter's ERA was 7th, 8th, or 9th, you know, somewhere in that range, and we had the worst bullpen ERA, well, then maybe we'd have some concern. But we're 18-8. We're not going to look for things to be upset about. Let's get into some ball games here and see what's going down here in May. We lost the opener of the month against Tampa Bay. And then we got another game coming up with them to finish the series. I forget what happened in the last game of April. Oh, there were 2 games. So we won 2. So we guaranteed a split in this 4-gamer here. Can we get the series win on May 2nd? Then we get Charlotte, a trip to the Angels, home to the Twins, Mariners, then visit the Yankees, then a big homestand with Baltimore, Detroit, and Cincinnati, and 1 game against Washington to end the month. So we spend a lot of time at home this month. Only 2 road trips. Quick jaunt out to LA and then the New York trip. So a lot of time in Cleveland this May. Hopefully the weather cooperates. May is dicey for the Midwest. You can get nice weather. You can get hell on earth sometimes. Even some snow on occasion. And we do indeed win that game to get 3 out of 4. Sore knee for J-Ram. Going to be about 3 days. And you know what? We're going to give him all 3 days. Because we're not going to push our superstar in early May when we simply don't need to. We've got Tena, Arias. They can do some backup. Rocchio himself is a little nicked. And you know what? I'll give him 2 days as well. So, you know, Arias and Tena, the Keystone combo for a couple days, and that's fine. We're going up against Charlotte. We're maybe not putting out the top of our roster against Charlotte. But they are 13-13, so, you know, they haven't had a great history thus far, but they are only in the 3rd year of existence. But if you're going to take it a little lighter against any team, and a 3rd-year expansion team could maybe get away with it. We'll see how it goes. 7-1 victory for the first game. 1-0 loss and 11 for the second game. That's tough. That is tough. Bradish versus Ranger Suarez was a hell of a duel. Hell, everything went pretty well except the unearned run that Heron gave up. How was it unearned, though? We don't have an error. And I don't think... We don't have the extra inning rules, do we? Oh, we do. Modified extra inning, spring and regular season. Okay. Because those are unearned if that guy scores from second, which makes sense, of course. All right, so then we continue on here, and we do lose the series. The second I said that, there was no world where we weren't, okay? The second I said, oh, if we're going to give up a lighter roster to any team, it should be an expansion team, blah, 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 you know. You know how this game goes. Painter, after the setback, he's now ahead of schedule. So make up your mind, I guess, but this is positive. He'll be back in about a week. So he is ahead of schedule. He's definitely going to get a relatively lengthy rehab stint. probably as long as he can get, just because he had no spring training and did suffer the setback. But this is positive that he is recovering well now, so he took a turn for the positive, and that's awesome. All right, let's jump out to LA, see what they're going through right now with the Angels. They are 12-17, not a great start. They have won 3 in a row. Let's see what they got going on. Probably get through this month here. Kind of see where we are setting up for June. We win the first two, 13-7 and 6-3. Now we're going to go ahead and play that third game and get the save. I'll change it to monthly so we don't have to do the save each Monday. Things are faster this year with the simming, as I've mentioned a few different times, but we can still afford to pick up the pace. There is always the risk, of a crash before the end of the month and we would lose a few games. I hope not, but we will run that risk. Maybe if we go on like some big streak, like we win 7 in a row, I'll make sure to hit a save there just so we don't lose that. But for the most part, I want to pick up the pace. We are first in the power rankings, just ahead of Baltimore. See, I told you Baltimore's the team to chase. Okay, looks like their win 10 fell apart, but then they jumped right back on another win 4. So they are 21-10, we're 23-10. They being Baltimore. All right, and we do get a series against them coming up, so let's go ahead and push our way toward that here with a series against Minnesota at home before another off day on Thursday. We got some consistent off days on Thursday this month, the first 3 of the month. We are now chasing a win 6 if we can sweep Minnesota here. Maybe I willed something positive into existence. And we do win our 6. I said if we win like 7 straight or something, I'll do an automatic, or I'll do a manual save. If we win this game, I got to do a save. Boom! We win 7 straight. Okay, you know what? I like that. Every time I say something partially negative or put something out into the ether, the worst case happens. It's about damn time that I say something positive and that brings it out, like a casual win 7 that we got here. So we love that. We have defeated the Angels 3 straight in Anaheim, 3 against Minnesota, 1 against Seattle, and 2 against Seattle, both extra innings, 3-2 in 10, 2-1 in 10. And they're a solid club. They're 19-19, sitting second in the division. And they made the playoffs last year. So this is a fun series between 2 quality teams, and we've played back-to-back nail biters that we've had to walk off here. Antunes with a run-scoring double to win the first one, and then Heston Kjerstad run-scoring single to win the second. So let's go. We love to see it. Are we getting 9 straight here? Let's see. Going for the sweep. Oh, 7-3 loss. Okay, so we don't get 3 straight sweeps. Nice little run there by the club. We are still tops in the power rankings. Oh, and Baltimore dropped big time. They must have lost a bunch of games. What the hell? Doesn't look, actually it does kind of look like that because they're 5-5 in their last 10. Okay, so they had a pretty rotten week, right? If the week starts here on the 10th, yeah, they went 1-5. Okay, fair enough. And if you're going to do weekly standings, because the idea, sometimes I see those like weekly power rankings in real life and people say, oh, how can you move a team 8 spots, this, that, they're really actually good. If you're going to do weekly power rankings like that, then you have to make kind of sharp moves based on the small samples, or else what's the point? Like if you're going to keep the Dodgers at the top because they are, the best team on paper, even if they lose 10, then don't even do them. At that point, there really is no real issue or no real value of doing them. Now, I'm not saying take it to the extremes, and if the Dodgers lose 5 and the Rockies win 6, that the Rockies rank higher than the Dodgers in a given week. But something like this that we saw where Baltimore drops down to 7th from 2 because they went 1-5, and I'm going to assume that these other teams played reasonably well, that checks out to me. You got to have some movement and acknowledge that, yeah, you're going to be doing it based on small samples, or else what is the point? Off to New York to face the Yankees, see what we can do against them. Painter is back. Let's go. Let's go ahead and get him on his rehab. And we lose 7-1 to the Yankees to open the series. We win 10-8. Can we win the series? Or are we going to lose our second series of the month? Looks like the AA ball is starting. And we do. We lose 4-3 and 10. So we lose our second series of the month. This one in New York against the Yankees. Always stinks because we always want to beat the Evil Empire. And they're pretty good. They're 24 and 17. So that's a good ball club. Boston, meanwhile, they're surging. They're on a win 5. They're saying, hey, those projections were right. We're actually a good team. How dare you? Sonny Gray's saying, yo, I want to stick around. I like this ball club. Listen, you're pitching brilliantly. I love what you're doing for us, but you're 37, man. I don't know. What are you thinking? Okay, if you're thinking 4-year deal, then I think we enter a drug rehab facility for you to kind of see if things are okay on that front. Because I'm definitely not doing that. Yeah. So, I don't know. And plus it's saying we don't even have the money. I think if there's a world where Sonny Gray comes back, it's going to take a lot. Either moving money off the books in season here to finagle it, or just doing it at the end of the season when our money is more accurate. But right now, and I'm not signing him to a multi-year deal. If he'll take like 125 or something, maybe. Otherwise, we're probably moving on. Even if he pitches brilliantly, which he has been so far, and I hope he continues to do. But I'm not sure we're going to be picking him back up. Baltimore coming in. They have now fallen to third in the division. Look at the Tigers. Well, tied for second. Oh, no, sorry. I thought they were both 24 and 16. The Tigers are better at 26 and 16 versus Baltimore's 24 and 16. Let's see what we can do against our rivals. Game 1, nice little weekend set against them here in Cleveland. Tom Hamilton on the call. And we're getting Pioneer League is calculating league stats. I was like, these are looking like it's taking the amount of time it does when we do a save, except it's just doing the season predictions for the smaller leagues and everything. We lose the first game 4-2. I'm going to look at all 3 box scores, but let's get through the series. We win 4-3. Rubber match. Give it to me. We get Detroit for 4 after this, too. Bang! 5-2 win. Let's go. All right, so we lose 4-2 on Friday night. Little Gray Rod versus Cantillo battle. That's pretty hot, by the way. I think Grayson is their ace, right? Because they don't have Burnsy anymore. Yeah, Grayson's their number 1, and Cantillo is ours. So the aces battle on Friday night, and they go toe-to-toe. They each go under 6. 5 2/3 for Cantillo, 5 for Grayson, but they were both excellent. So that's good. Turn it over to the bullpens, and Heron and Feigl both collapse a bit. They were the 2 guys that had the tough nights. Bo Naylor did go yard, as did Jordan Westberg, and we dropped that one. But then we bounced back with a Saturday afternoon 4-2 win. Or 4-3 win, excuse me, with Bieber not finishing 5, but pitching well in the 4 2/3 that he did go. Gavin Williams pitching decently against us, 6 1/3, 4 runs. He's back in the rotation after a standout relief year last year, and he's kind of back to mediocrity. And you do wonder if maybe they would be better off getting the triple-digit innings out of him in the bullpen. I don't know. That's an interesting debate, and it's a debate that we deal with a lot with guys where we're like, what is the best way to maximize this guy? If you can get 60 plus more innings, like, if he goes 160, 180 innings, is that extra volume at a lesser performance worth it, or is it just better to get 100, 80, 85 to 100 innings, depending on how you use them, of high caliber late inning performance too? So I don't know, but they are starting him, and it didn't go as well. Glad we didn't lose to him. Royce Lewis hit his 5th in that one, and then we win 5-2 on Sunday evening. So it looks like, now I don't think that the schedule in this game does a single Sunday night game, but when it serves us, we're going to pretend that we were on Sunday Night Baseball. Because I think all of our Sunday games except for one this month are in the evening, and they're not all Sunday Night Baseball, right? We're a great team, but for this one, I think we can pretend that, yes, this was Sunday Night Baseball, Baltimore against Cleveland. Because, the way these two teams have been playing back-to-back ALCSs, they would put us on Sunday night. So Detroit, they're still kicking there, 27 and 18, and now Baltimore's 4th in the division as the Yankees have now jumped them. It's a tight cluster, don't get me wrong, but a lot of contenders here. Detroit for 4. We'll see how that goes. We are still number 1 in the power rankings, with Cincinnati now 2nd. And Detroit sitting 7th, just for those curious. Let's see what their team looks like a little bit, because, they're out here competing. They made the playoffs last year, didn't they? No, they didn't. I'm thinking of somebody else's sim, I guess. They've actually been pretty dreadful. They took a turn last year, though. Despite being sub 500, they still added 15 games from 2025 to 2026, from 65 to 80. So that's a big jump. And then this year, looks like they're cashing it in into even more at 27 and 18, saying like last year was kind of a glimpse, and now here we are. So looking at the ball club, you've got Jackson Jobe as the ace. That checks out. He is ace caliber. You got Ty Madden, Hook 'em Horns as their number 2, looking good. Nick Lodolo, they got him last year, and he kind of, maybe he's part of the turnaround here. Did very well for them, and holding up again this year, Nick Lodolo. Jairo Iriarte, they got him from the White Sox, who came via the Padres in the Cease deal, if I recall correctly. Right? Yep. And so then Justin Henry Malloy was the trade. Ooh, that's kind of big for big right there. That's a hot deal. But Iriarte is their 4 starter, and then Prelander Baroa is their 5. Looks like it's an okay bullpen, some decent arms in there. I'm not going to go over every piece. They got Nathaniel Lowe leading off. That is interesting. As their DH, Parker Meadows in center, Everson Pereira in left, batting 3rd with 65 pop. Okay, or 65 potential pop. Colt Keith batting 4th, playing 1st. He's been a god. He is panning out. He's stuck at 1st, and I say stuck because, you know, he came up 3rd, 2nd. He's had to move down the defensive spectrum to 1st, but he's putting up enough of a bat that it doesn't matter. If that happens for the real-life Tigers, I'd be okay with it. Although that would probably mean bad things for Torkelson if Keith is running first base. So hopefully we can find a world where both are awesome. Tanner Schobel is their shortstop. He's not a very good defender or hitter, so they're just kind of grinding it out here with Schobel. They probably need an upgrade there. Victor Mesa Jr. is their right fielder, and he's solid, more glove than bat, but, you know, capable enough bat to take on the good defense. Brainer Bonacci is their 3rd baseman, and he's off to a brutal start. And it's kind of backed up by the fact that his stats aren't great. You know, he's their number 8 hitter, 24 years old. 7 hitter, I should say. Dylan Dingler's their catcher, and he brings amazing defense, and who cares what he brings with the bat, right? He's a captain, kind of classic guy that we would have, where the defense is so good that we do not care about the bat. And then Kreidler should be playing short. The Tigers are morons for this. First off, Kreidler is overperforming his bat with a 133 WRC+, but he can actually play some short, so they are definitely making that mistake there with Schobel. But hey, not our problem. Let's see what we can do against them for 4. Game 1, we win 2-1. Let's go. Game 2, we lose 5-4. Okay, so a lot of one-run games here, both just in general, not just against the Tigers. And then we win 2-1 in 10, so another one-run game. And I did change that. I can get rid of that note. Scouting. Wait, where do I find the notes? I thought it was... I don't know where I can find that note. Create a note. There we go. There we go. I got there. All right, so I can delete this because we did change it to 20 rounds, and we're good to go on that. But yeah, that's crazy. Right as I was saying the 2-1, the one-run game thing, we go 2-1 again, this time in 10. That's absolutely crazy. And then let's see game 4. Can we get the series, or do we just take a 4-game split? Let's see. We lose 3-1. Okay. So 4 very close games. What a series, right? 2-1 in the opener. Let's see here. Oh, and I changed the name of our park to Red Bull Stadium. Deal with it. Progressive Field. I was progressively getting tired of that shitty-ass name. I've been calling it the Jake forever. Iriarte versus Sonny Gray. Gray was excellent. Iriarte was fine. It wasn't his fault, really. I mean, he gave up the 2 runs and we won 2-1, so it was his fault, so to speak. But he pitched well is what I'm trying to say. Gray was excellent. He's 5-0 on the year. Then we lose 5-4. Bradish got knocked around, and we just couldn't get back into it. We pushed, but nothing came of it. And then we win 2-1 in 10. That was Cantillo v. Madden, and that was a pitcher's duel there. That went really well. And then we lose 3-1. They were all kind of pitcher's duels except for Bradish fumbling a little bit there, but Lodolo versus Bieber was an excellent matchup. They just got the best of us with Bonacci and Torkelson both going yard. Torkelson is good in this universe. Okay. So 24 and 25, he was kind of middling. He broke through last year with 41 homers and 100 ribs. And now he has 65 gap, 60 power, and 65 eye. So hopefully this is the beginning of something where he can continue to be a stud. I mean, I know I say that of a division rival, but I love Torque. I just want him to be good, y'all. All right, so we are still doing well here. What do we got? We got Luis Vergara. This could actually turn into something. It's not a lot to go off of right now, but he is 16. I've certainly seen a profile like this from an international find like eventually develop, but it'll take, light years. All right, we got Cincinnati, and then we'll look at some stats and close out here. A little bit of a tighter ep for this one, and we'll play the one game against Washington too. We win 12-3, and then 10-3, and 5-4. Okay, so we sweep. Cincinnati got murked by us, and they're 29 and 22, so we just smoked a pretty good team. Okay, good to know. I was like, are they bad? No, they're actually not. Got a few emails here. We're still first in the power rankings with the Yankees number 2. The Nationals are third from last, and we get a game against them to open the month. Yeah, they're sitting 18 and 32. Things are not going terribly well in the nation's capital. Let's make them go a little worse with a win here. And we will get a player development report that we can dig into as well. All right, so end of the month, we did lose because, of course, right? Anytime I talk shit about a team, we will lose to them instantly. So we lose 4-2. It's just a lock, right? Of course, it was our ace, Joey Cantillo, getting beat up by Washington. Very cool. Don't freak out, Paul. It's one game. It's one game. It is kind of funny, though. All right, so we end at 36 and 17. Things are going swimmingly, right? We are the best team in baseball by win percentage, and it's not that close. Like, we've got, 55 points, 56 points on the Brewers, and 44 points over the Yankees here. So the Yankees are second best in our own division, and then the Milwaukee Brewers are the third best team and the best team in the NL, with the D-backs very close behind them. Okay, cool. Oh, unfortunately, that month took Lonnie White out of everything. He was in like 6 different things. And I know I always freak out about this because it's literally just the top 3. Like, it's really tough to be in these leaderboards. And it takes like the star of the star level players to be in several of these categories. And I'm not quite sure that we have any players that reach that height outside of like maybe J Ram. And we'll see if Condon can get himself there. But it was cool when White was in a bunch of those, and then fast forward a month later and he's not in any of them. That said, it's not like he's performing poorly. He's still having a wonderful season. It just further underscores my point about how difficult it is to be in those rankings. He put up a 194 WRC plus in April, only a 135 in May. Oh, geez, what a loser. No, he's fantastic. Okay, so update on health right now. Painter has 16 days left on his rehab. Neely's out for 4 more weeks. And, of course, Bloggs is out for the year. Let's go look at Painter's rehab real quick. And he's had 3 starts, and they're going well. 338 ERA, 112 whip. 13% strikeout minus walk isn't crazy, but he doesn't miss a ton of bats. So our expectations have to kind of be in check there. 6% walk rate is wonderful. Keeping the ball in the park. Nothing crazy with the hits. Things are going well. Let's go ahead and get another scout. And when that scout comes back in 4 game days, we will then call him back up. So the next time you guys see things, Painter will be on the team unless something else happens, right? Because I'll start to play through June. And ideally, and I say ideally because last season we had to pick up in June because things were negative. There were some injury issues. But ideally, the beginning of the next episode will start sometime in July, and I will brief you on what happened in June, and we'll start to get into the draft and some deadline talk stuff. All right, but let's look at some stats. Team stats first. We're second in like everything, or I mean, we're top 3 in virtually everything except for walks, stolen bases, and base running. Okay, fair enough. We could stand to be a bit more patient, and we don't do too much running, so I'm not worried about quote unquote fixing those. Then on the pitching side, our bullpen ERA went from 15th to 5th in the matter of a month. This is why I wasn't concerned, y'all. And then we're top 5 in just about everything except for walks again. So we don't take walks, but then we do issue them. But we're first in strikeouts, 5th in defensive efficiency, and 11th in zone rating. So the defense a little wobbly, but nothing too crazy. Let's take a quick look at the waiver wire. And we see a favorite of mine in real life, Chase Silseth, but he doesn't quite make the grade for me here. I tell you, if he had... Oh, he's already reliever. Because I was going to say, if the stuff was 60 in the bullpen, I might be interested. But... especially because it's a 45 homer with 50 potential. So he's close. And again, another favorite of mine too, but it's not quite enough, so we're not going to pick him up. Because I don't know who I'd cut, because we already have to figure out who we're going to move off the roster for Smith. I mean, sorry, I was looking at Cade Smith, because that's probably who it's going to be for Painter, I should say. But like I said, I think we found the guy in Cade Smith. What is going on with him this year? So he had a dreadful April, but it was 4 2/3. Let's not freak out. Just as bad of a May, and 9 2/3, which is still a small sample, but it's the season sample right now, and he's probably not pitching a ton because of how poorly he's playing. So let's put him in long relief, avoid high leverage, and mop up right now. He's the one going down for... Oh, wait, he's out of options. Ooh, okay, well, Cade Smith might end up being traded by the time you guys see things again. He's no longer a top prospect, by the way. We can get rid of that. Yeah, because that's not very good. That's not good. All right, we're not going to review every player. The stats are up right now. If you want to look at them, you can pause and look. But, we're going to have to get somebody into DH against lefties. I don't know why that spot was open. Who was there that... I don't know. We'll just put Antunes there. But yeah, if you want to look at everything, you can pause and look. But I'm going to sort by WAR and just have some call-outs here. Lonnie White Jr., like I said, having a wonderful season. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys that have at least 1 win of value already 2 months into the season. And Namgung is right there at 0.9 WAR. Condon, 0.7. Like, they're close. So things are going well. Everyone in the starting lineup, except for Bo Naylor, is above average performance-wise right now. And we will now make it everyone by putting Bo Naylor back in the bench spot and Patrick Bailey back in the starting role. Bailey had like a brutal spring, and so hang on, let me just see how true that is, because that's how I remember it, was that the catchers had like disparate springs. Yeah, Naylor popped off, Bailey didn't. And so I let Naylor get the starting bid. But as you might have seen there, Bailey was playing every other game. So I didn't just like kick him to the curb based on 60 spring plate appearances. But we also got an update that his defense had gone down. So when you paired both of those things, that's why I was like, okay, he's not the unquestioned starter anymore. We'll let Naylor maybe try to build on his spring. And as you can see, he has not been able to do that. They've gone in the complete opposite directions. Bailey's amazing, and Naylor looks like shit. So we'll go back to that. Let's see. Anybody else standing out? We have multiple double-digit homer guys. 13 for Stowers, 11 for White, 10 for Condon. Anybody running? Namgung has 7 steals. Okay, we don't run much, so that's not unexpected to see modest outputs there. 37 RBIs for Stowers. Let's go. Start driving guys in. Tana. Oh, wait, 7 plate appearances. Never mind. I was going to say, he's got a big 163 WRC plus, which it is true. That is what he has, and it is big, but it's 7 plate appearances. Rocchio making a bid to get in the starting lineup here by dominating. He is our super sub. Royce Lewis, by the way, playing well. For those of you that were concerned about what he did last year with us, or didn't do, as it were, he's back on track, playing very well, so we're happy there. And having Rocchio as a super backup that can just give second, third, and short kind of rotating days off, that's wonderful. I have no problem with that. that's a great backup piece to have. Then if any injury happens, he's automatically in the lineup for whoever that might be. We hope it doesn't, though. Pitching-wise, rotation. Everyone's got pretty good ERAs. The worst is 4.18 for Tristan McKenzie. We're never going to judge too harshly on ERA one way or the other. He does have a 144 whip because he's allowing way too many hits and has a modest walk rate. I will say the upsetting thing here is the 13% walk rate for Cantillo. Maybe that's why you're having the occasional struggle. I mean, he still has a 3.36 ERA, 121 whip. Sure. But for an ace, I need a better walk rate there. We'll let him smooth it out. We're not going to make it. There's no changes to make off of it, right? This happens a lot in the fantasy world that I talk about on like my podcast or in articles. There may be something worth talking about a struggling player or whatever, but not everything is actionable. Meaning, your star player is having a rough month, but he was your second round pick. You're not cutting him. Like you don't overreact there. And then in real life, or managing like a real life team versus a fantasy, it's even bigger, thresholds of performance that you're not going to overreact to, right? If you're 10-year vet that is just, he's steady, he's really good, and he's 2 months into the season with a 600 OPS as a career 800 guy, you're not going to freak out. You're absolutely not going to freak out on that, So anyway, I do have to get going. I've got a haircut coming up today. So we'll go ahead and cap it here. They just sent me the message of like the 20-minute warning. So I got to bounce on over there. But there we go. We are in the midst of the season. We're starting off with a bang. We'll come back sometime, ideally in July, figure out what's going on, what kind of trades we might make, what sort of moves, and of course the draft. But until then, y'all, talk to you later. Peace.